Good morning. Good
Good
morning
morning.
to you. Thank you very much for signing up for today's webinar. I'm pleased to announce that we have today Klaus Blicher from AI Power introducing IntelliCharge services for the Swedish market to you. We are glad that we have so many participants for today's event. And as we have promised, after this event, we will make a draw, and we'll give away 5 one-year licenses to IntelliCharge services to 5 participants in this webinar today. So and that will be announced just after this webinar is ended. Yes, I'm just waiting 30 seconds more until we start the webinar because we have made some changes in the setup of the webinar yesterday. So we just allow the last ones to be able to join in a very short time. Yes. Okay. I think we will kick off. I will kick off the webinar today, and after my presentation, I will hand over to Klaus Blicher. About me, my name is Klaus Menne, and I am the regional director at Solplanet for the Nordic countries. And I will be making the introduction today because supposedly it was our new sales manager, Christian Garbrandt, who was to do the introduction today for the Swedish customers here, but unfortunately he is sick at the moment, so I have taken over his assignment here. So I hope it's okay. We do it. I do my presentation, and I think Klaus Blicher also does his presentation in English language. Okay, so one second. Okay. Webinar today is called More Value from Battery Systems in a Changing Market. As I said, my name is Klaus Menne. I'm from Solplanet, and today's guest speaker is Klaus Blicher from AI Power. And I know he has prepared a very interesting summary for you here today, so we can look forward to that. We'll end the presentation with Q&As at the very end. You can also put them in the chat if you want. Okay, we have some spelling error here. Sorry about that. But Solplanet is a brand name of Iceway. Iceway is one of the biggest producer or manufacturer of solar PV inverters and battery systems. We have been here for more than 17 years, and we have our shipments exceeds more than 70 gigawatt. Last year, 2025, we produced almost 28 gigawatt of inverter capacity and battery capacity. Yeah, we are from global scale. We are number 3 of in the size of residential energy storage systems, and also like to put the focus on the EcoVadis silver medal. It's very important for us in this consistent pursuit for us to change going towards the green energies. So very, very important for the company. About the Iceway, that's Solplanet. Iceway, we have production in China. We are a Chinese company. We have 1 production facility, and we have 3 R&D centers located around Shanghai, Suzhou, and Xi'an in China. We have testing facilities in Cologne in Germany. Sales and services. Right now we are in more than 20 countries in Europe. We have 1 global warehouse in Germany. In each of the countries that we are represented, we have a setup, organization setup that ensures that we are providing the maximum service to our customers and our installers. That means we have both pre-sale and after-sale support in those countries where we are active. A little bit about the milestones from the company. The company was established in 2009. At that time, we were known as Solar. I think some of you may know the brand name from that time. In 2012, SMA, a very important and notable manufacturer of inverter, came to China. They set up a purchasing office, and in 2013 SMA acquired the factory Solar that was producing for them at that time. In the period from 2013 to 19, we were owned by SMA, and we have developed the product together with SMA throughout this period. And the products that you know today, the DNA of that is based on the technology from SMA. Together with SMA, we also hold many patents that we still have. Yeah. In 2019, there was a management buyout, and at that time, the Iceway was founded. And 2020, the Iceway went overseas with the brand name of Solplanet. Yeah. I think that's what I want to say about this one. So the brand name of Solplanet has been active in Europe since 2020. For Sweden, I think we launched the products in Sweden in 2022. Yeah. The organization setup we have for Sweden, yes, I am the regional director. At this time, we do not have a country manager for Sweden. We have pre-sale support. Customers can call us. Our distributors can call us. Our installers can call us. Our end users can call us for after-sale support. But pre-sale support, we have Thomas supporting our distributors primarily and the installers. Then we have an organization doing after-sale support. That's a third-party company, Novus Energy, that's doing all the after-sale support. And then we have Christian Garbrandt, just newly joined Solplanet here, 1st of June. He's our senior sales manager. And we have Mia Isbach, who is responsible for the marketing activities in the Nordic countries. That was the organization setup, and a little bit of history about Solplanet-Iceway. So now I'll hand over the presentation to Claus. Please welcome Claus here, and I'm sure you'll get a lot of new information that that will be valuable for your company and your sale in the Swedish market. Please, Klaus, over to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Klaus. Thank you for the introduction and inviting us. Hi to all of you guys. So yeah, first of all, Solplanet and AI Power, we've been working together since I think it's 23, where we could see the need for more advanced services in the Danish and then the Swedish market. And today I'll talk a bit about some of the like the need for some of these more advanced collaborations, but also the market changes, some of the challenges, but also some of the possibilities in these ever-changing realities as such. But I'll just share my presentation with you. See if I can find the right one. So, Klaus, can you see the screen? Good.
Yes, I can.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Well, what basically triggers us and what drives us, also the collaboration with Solplanet, is we see both challenges because the market and the legal body, the legislation, the government, the rules change so fast. And this also, sometimes it's a challenge. It is, honestly, but every time it happens, it also creates opportunities, and that's what I sort of wanted to kick off with before just talking about what we do, how we do it, etc. So the on top we see that the governments, they are stumbling a bit, both in Denmark and Sweden, that they try new rules out, new variable taxation out, without having understood the full impact of it. In Sweden, until a couple of months ago, the plan was that everyone should have effect taxa, peak shaving fees. But as soon as the pressure got too high on the government, it seems that they got cold feet and they wanted to try something else. And now the market is sort of caught in a limbo. At the same time, Sweden is quite fortunate. You produce a lot of different types of energy, hydropower, PV, a lot of different sources, but you have a long country and the infrastructure is the bottleneck. So it doesn't really matter that much that you have tons of surplus capacity in the north if you can't get it to the south. So what we see is that, and what will happen if you go to the private small roads, that there's simply not enough amp to support what people want. That again relates back to this peak shaving element, which was a sort of what the government wanted to fix in the first place. Is that they know that when we all have electric vehicles, we all have heat pumps, we all have electric heating, the amount of electricity simply won't do. So what Klaus and I is working on every week is that we want all of you can go into the market right now and find an okay system that works okay now. But what Klaus and I have to produce is something that will work brilliantly in 5 years. That's also why I'm really happy that Solplanet is open enough to allow us in, because we are able to mediate some of these challenges much faster than some of these global players, because they have to update all their systems. It is a big global organization. They have a lot of quality assurance and stuff they have to do. So if there suddenly are new rules such as peak shaving, we can build and implement that quite fast, and then Klaus and his organization can internalize the best part into their systems in the long run. That's sort of how we work together. Also, when we are running out of local amps for a company in Denmark, I don't know if you heard that they have stopped the extension of the grid for the past 3 months or so, because we simply didn't have the capacity. But this also means that we have sold a lot of these big CNI systems for companies who ran out of amps but still wanted to maintain production, maintain growth, but we're not allowed by the grid owners or by Energinet in Denmark. And this is the same which we see happening in Sweden. I also know that Claus and his team just launched their CNI series of batteries, which can be precisely a very good intermediate solution for these companies. They have the cash, they have the growth, and instead of forcing people to work at night, they can extend the battery pack, use a sort of a peak shaving feature that doesn't overload the grid. We can provide that element, and then Claus delivers the hardware support and training of all the systems. But allow me to just briefly talk about IntelliCharge. I think after 3 years of working with this, it is a embedded system which can be activated by all customers in a few minutes without any additional hardware. It does optimization using a lot of new smart algorithms and systems in real time. It has all the tariff, all the variable pricing from the different Swedish distributors. It also have peak shaving built into it if a customer still has that. I do believe, and that might be a question to all of you afterwards, or you can just put it into the comments right now. I believe around 20% of all Swedes right now still, for the time being, is caught in a sort of a limbo where they have to pay effekttaxa or effekttariffer while the government is figuring out, or Energinet, what to do next. So they're caught here at least for the next year, and someone has to help them because it doesn't really take that much to help them to save 5,000 or 8,000 Swedish krona by cutting these peaks. I think I have a screenshot later about it. Anyway, we run on German servers. Everything lives up to any GDPR compliant system that you can think of. It's fully automated. And every time we see new demands in the market, we listen to you, and then we implement it locally. So basically, it's a very fast installation. It maximizes the savings for having a battery PV system. It's easy to use for the customer. It's easy for you guys to scale because we're just part of the box, no additional hardware. And we see that the customers are quite happy with our service and support and everything. It's worth mentioning that we just hired our first Swedish-speaking support staff. So when people call us, they can talk natively because it is a barrier, of course, we recognize, right? So in order to improve the service in the Swedish market, are we setting up a more professional approach with local speaking people as well. So when we look at the difference between basic operation and when we activate our control, we see that we get around 2 to 4 times more savings than ordinary control. And that typically is around a 30% increase in savings compared to other controls. Then I have a couple of slides for how the service actually looks as such. This is basically trying just to split up and say, well, in the end, it's always the business or the end customer who uses. But what we want to do is that we want to create value to the installer. The first part is that the day after you have installed the system, my support staff should be the one who try to explain the dynamics of the Energinet to the end customer. Alternatively, they can call you, which is fine, but it takes 1 to 2 hours quite often to make someone understand why the systems behave as it does. So one of the things we're very proud of is that we actually take a lot of these calls the day after when people, they don't really understand what is the consequence of optimizing in this ever-changing dynamic market. Then there's no hardware. It's easy to activate, and if needed, the customer can activate it all by themselves. Good. So this is how the platform looks. It's fairly simple. The system, this system seems to have been running a peak shaving, so it has actually effectively minimized the speed of the inverter from, let's say, a 10 kilowatt system to something like 4 kilowatt hours. It has charged over a long period of time during the night. You can also see the prices at that point was fairly flat. Then in the morning, they did discharge in the more expensive hours. It locked the battery throughout the day because the prices were flat, and it expected higher prices in the evening. And you can also see how around 3 or 4 p.m. it actually discharged until it ran out around 8 in the evening, where the prices was falling again. Again, this is the limitation of the size of the battery, but the system did what we expected to do. Yeah, so this up here is historical data. This is all the estimate. This is all the price estimates, and including all the tariff that you see. In the other side of the screen, you'll see the active status, what's actually happening in words, because people can't always comprehend behavior. Then we have our peak shaving module. So if the customer activates peak shaving, they can see the highest peaks that have been running for the period of time. So they can also compare to like adjust and fine tune it. We have a savings module that's shown how much the customer have saved compared to basic operations. We have a module for EV control. We do not as such yet control any charger or Solplanets, but what we do is we protect the house battery and allow the house battery to coexist with the electric vehicle. So we have algorithms, if the customer wants, saying, well, when they start to charge and the customer says, I don't want to empty my house battery to my EV, we will automatically lock the battery. In the same way, during the winter, mostly, we would set up the system so that the EV and house battery can charge at the same time during the night when it's often the cheapest, but they will still be allowed, or it won't be allowed to discharge. So we have the features we have been able to see, and what you have to see is that when we see a need in the market, will we invest in bring that to the market as soon as possible? And then Klaus and I work together in the back to see the most important features. How can we internalize those in the long run? Good. Right now, we have made an agreement with Solplanet that for new orders in a campaign, they follow a 1-year IntelliCharge license with the system. Which we're very happy for. So thank you so much for that, Klaus, for dealing with that. And this is pretty much the last I have. Besides that, so now it's more a Q&A session.
Thank you very much, Klaus.
Sure.
Very interesting. We appreciate the cooperation we have, and I think we can do a lot for our customers now already, but also in the future. I think we will be an important player in the Swedish markets here in the future. So, like Klaus said, questions. We are here to listen to your questions. So please. I see robots. We have see one from here. Does IntelliCharge combine and optimize the arbitrage with peak shaving? Like if the system sees that it can give a good profit, it exceeds the previous decided optimal feed-in power limits?
It's a good question. So what we know from the rules of peak shaving is that it's almost all if it's almost always the highest cost these peaks, right? So our system is set up that if it has to make a decision between protecting a peak or minimizing a peak or doing arbitrage. Arbitrage is the ability to buy for, let's say, 1 Swedish krona or 1 krona and sell it for 3 kronas later. The system will prioritize protecting the peak and minimizing the peak. But when we are not trying to minimize a peak or maintain an SOC, a minimum level on the battery, the system runs full optimization and will do arbitrage or whatever the customer allows it to do. All of these rules are customized by the customer if they see fit. So if they don't want to do arbitrage, it is to purchase power with the intent of selling it again. If it allows them to save more or earn more, then they don't have to. But it's a very good question, and it is a difficult balance. But until now, we have told the algorithms to prioritize protecting the peak as the foremost, because the complexity around this is fairly high, having all these different rule-based systems.
Good, thank you. Another question. Does it optimize storage SOC in regards of weather forecast and risk of bad weather forecast?
Yes, so we base everything on a very advanced and expensive local price feed, where we both have, of course, the weather forecast. We look at cloud coverage, we look at radiation, and if you are close by the water, a lake or the ocean, then we also have indirect radiation from the reflecting. So we have a very advanced, but we are never smarter than the forecast, right? So if the weather is wrong, we will also be impacted, of course. If there was supposed to be cloud and suddenly the sun is shining all day, we can't foresee it. But what we do plan in always is, of course, that if we see a very sunny day today and the customer have 60% left of their battery, the system will most likely try to empty the batteries out in the most expensive hours at 6, 7, 8 a.m. in the morning. In the same way, if we know it's going to be a very sunny day today, we won't charge at night. The batteries will be kept as empty as possible, unless, of course, the customer have activated peak shaving, under which they have set up a rule that there should always be 40% of SOC, and then we will protect that SOC barrier.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Klaus. Next question. Can it set different rates of peak power during hours and period of the year?
Yes, so it's a very good questions. Thank you so much. This is yeah. So firstly, the system have to by default to deal with the fact that effect taxa are different at night and day at different zones, right? So the first thing we built is that it will be able to differ. So it knows that it's 3 times more expensive to have a high peak during the day than during the night. We built that. We could actually change this theoretically, there could be a specific peak shaving rule every 15 minutes or every hour, which would be a nightmare to man, but the system is built for that. In the same way, we can also over the year change those. So because if the government, if this was done intelligently, you should care for the peaks when they actually happen, and it's different between the summer and the winter. So we build all of this. Either it's automated fully, or the customer can set up manual tariff. It's basically that they say Monday to Sunday from 5 in the morning until 10. These are the tariff, and then they can just customize it as they see fit, as such. But as soon as we see a big enough need, we internalize the data, and then we automate all of this for the customer.
Yeah, thank you very much, Klaus.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Any more questions? Please put them in the chats here and Q&A. No. But Klaus, how about how do they sign up for IntelliCharge services?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a good question. So basically, what you will receive right now when you purchase the Solplanet inverter is that you will receive a PDF document with the front side, front page is a QR code and a license key and a link. And the back, I think, is 5 or 6 steps for the installer just to know what they have to do. So what they have to do is that they basically have to open our website or app. Then they have to ask the end customer to register their email. In order to be sure about GDPR safety, we ask all the customer upfront to validate the email in case they enter the email wrong. We just want to be sure that they own it. As soon as they have done it, can they enter their serial number of the system? Then we will actually try to go and fetch all the data from the inverter manufacturer. Solplanet here. So we know which inverter model it is automatically. We know which battery it is automatically if it's possible, because we have learned over the past years that the biggest root or area of mistake is not the installer. It's not Solplanet. It's the customers do not really know which hardware they have, and then they just put some gibberish into the system. So we try to automate all of this. Then the customer have to enter a license key in order to validate that they have access to the system. And then they press save, and then the system will automatically call Klaus' server and Bo Møller and say, hey, we have a new customer here. Can we please ask for access and some data? And then the system will, over the night, aggregate the data. The system will most likely, the day after, actually start to optimize. But honestly, the first week, our algorithm, the first week before we start to learn anything, we are not smarter than the other AIs, honestly, right? It is some basic understanding of reality of the world, which is what most companies use. But then over the next weeks, we get enough data to actually be able to predict when to do what much more precise. So this is more or less.
So it's a learning curve here.
It is. People always think that energy usage behavior are almost identical across people and time, and it's also correct when you look at statistical average data. It looks the same, but if you look at individual customer, there's no system in it. People are so different in how they use electricity when they use it, but all of you know this. One thing I want to point out is that we are also your friend when one of your installers have made a mistake or something is wrong on the installation. We see very often that some installations, some installers, they turn the smart meter the wrong way. Right, and we can instead of having to have a huge problem with the customer, as soon as we see it, we will contact you as the installer, let you know that we, from our side, believe something is wrong with installation before the customer becomes angry and frustrated, so that you can actually preemptively make a decision, talk to Klaus if that's necessary, or go out to the site and fix it before that they have not been running for a month. Right? Because it takes a bit of time. The difference is my people, we see thousands of systems every day. So we can see the behavior, say we're not sure, but it's most likely that all the modules of the battery are not active for some reason. It's most likely something about the smart meter. It's most likely this and that. And then we can feed it back to you. It does require one thing on your side, is that in order for me to contact you, I must be allowed to know this is your customer, and I must be able to contact you, of course. So we have an installer admin account, so you can also monitor your customers and also answer stuff, etc., etc. So when the customer have questions, or if we are aware about something of the system, we do prefer to let you know directly instead of let the customer know. So you are always in control.
Thank you very much, Klaus. Thank you for your insight in this very interesting market. Any more questions here at the end? It seems not. So I think we will close this webinar, and we will thank all of you for joining today. And again, we will send out we'll make a draw after this call and send out the free licenses to 5 of you out there. So thank you very much. Thank you to AI Power for their insights, and it's been a good partner for Solplanet, and we looking forward to continue the developing the services for the Swedish market. So thank you everybody, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye bye.